Hello again. Welcome to the rantings and ravings of the audition prep. Today we're going to talk about Wagner again, but this time we're talking about Tannhauser. This excerpt, well, I guess in case you weren't here last time, we were going to talk about Wagner again. And with Wagner's bio, he was born May 22nd, 1813. He died February 13th, 1883, as a German composer, theater director, polemicist, and conductor who is chiefly known for his operas, as we all know. I don't like going into too much depth, but he was a control freak, and he did not like Jewish people. He was, in fact, very racist. The moral/ethical debate of whether we should continue to support his music, especially since he was so racist, is definitely a valid debate. I tend to have this debate a lot, especially as a trombone player. Like, I like his music, I like listening to it, it sounds great, but yeah, it's one of those things of I don't want to necessarily try to say that I don't want to condone that behavior in any way. But he still was a staple he still is really important to the progression of music, progression of tone sonority, and tonal stuff. I'm very smart, as you can tell with my word choices. Thank you for sticking with me. But with Tannhauser in this opera, the big theme of this is love and like redemption through love. This opera was, I'm trying to see when it was written. Oh, apparently it's not on Wikipedia. Somewhere during the 1800s. 1845, there we go. Found it, excuse me. Written in 1845 by Wagner, along with the libretto and the music, and he conducted it, as he does. It's between two characters, Tannhauser and, excuse me, a German Minnesänger and poet. I might be misreading this, but it doesn't seem to have a second character. I could be wrong. This is one of the more off-the-rails videos for the day. But generally, when we're about to perform this excerpt, and we're specifically talking the ending, the big climactic, from the measure before M to the end of the end of the piece, big climactic return of the theme. It's all about love. All you need is love, right? And the goal of this is to show, is to kind of signify the end of the story, right? We're trying to show that these characters have redeemed themselves through love, and that the love is just with so much passion. Like, there's just so much energy, and the idea is you want the audience to cry, and you should be crying too. Ideally, it's like some kind of rom-com. So when we look at the score, and as always, I'm going to put a little JPEG on the screen. We have way more directions than the few excerpts. This is my 5th installment. This is now the second excerpt that actually writes accent markings that inconsistently, and it gives the performer a very clear idea of how it should be performed. Because Wagner was like that. So we see a lot of marcatos, and it's like a marcato on every note that we have to re-articulate. Obviously, slurred tied notes, are not marked. To the end, where obviously it's the end of the piece and we want to just be really nice and full. We also have some really great dynamic markings, like you should have forte and then fortissimo in one measure. At least that's what it says in his written. Honestly, when we play it, we tend not, that would be kind of hurtful to the ears, so we generally tend to just play it fortissimo. We kind of just play a lighter fortissimo, if anything. It's a pickup note, right? I'm bad at singing, but it's fun. Being that we can generally talk about preparing this, but yeah, looking at the score is not too bad. But to understand it is to kind of see it as a expansion of the original theme. It's the same music, but it's now it's given wider subdivisions. It's not like quarter notes and half notes with triplets. It's whole notes and triplet half notes and tied whole notes. It's super long. So he's communicating lots of length, lots of just breadth and width to this excerpt. That's generally all there is to this excerpt. It's not the most complicated of excerpts, not the most harder of excerpt, but it's one of those excerpts that if you can't perform it well, it comes off pretty easily. So things that you need to worry about as a performer, if you don't have a high F sharp very well, you gotta work on that high F sharp. It's there for bass trombone. Bass trombones play in that range often enough that we need to be able to play there. And you should have a really solid sense of your tone and like your ability to maintain your tone quality throughout the dynamics. We don't want any twas. We don't want any football endings. So excuse me, I'll go pick up my horn actually. I can kind of demonstrate that. We don't want anything that sounds like it's not a brick. We want bricks of sound. So when I'm gonna take it down octave because I'm feeling weird today. If we listen back to that, and hopefully it's not too bad, too loud, we'll notice that it's just ugly. It doesn't sound good. The first thought when hearing that is that a noob? Is that somebody who doesn't know how to play the instrument? So great way to work on these things is long tones, lip slurs into long tones. Any form of way to work on a long tone is great. So Remingtons or any sort of exercise that works on long tones work. And so on and so forth. Do it as long as you think in bricks. Golden. So, in terms of performing this, I would think about someone you love, if you love somebody. If you don't love somebody, oh well, I envy you. But think about either something or someone or some place, some noun, whatever, that you care deeply about, and you would do anything for. And this piece should come off as just true and utter passion. Sorry, let me up my game just a little bit more. True and just utter passion for that thing. Generally speaking, with dynamics, we don't want to be edgy, as I always say. You want to be loud but not edgy. You want to be big, but not offensive. You don't want to be offensive. Is the big keyword. I'm looking at a lot of marcatos. Your marcatos can be pretty heavy as they go, but they don't want to be that heavy, as I say. It's heavy but not heavy, It's very, very clear directions as we go. And when you think about playing with this section, this is obviously a big tutti moment, right? So we don't want to stick out. We want to fall in with the group. Sorry. So if you stick out, it's obvious and offensive. I'm gonna go briefly. I'm talking about interpretations. This might be a bit on the shorter side, if I'm being honest. This is a video, but it should still get up there. There are a couple different things we can do. We're not really gonna mess around too much with tempo. It's already fairly slow, and speeding it up makes it sound weird. And taking it too slow makes it sound like you don't know it. So there's the tempo that's written and is normally performed. I would say somewhere around the and so on. I suck at singing. Don't worry about it. Somewhere around that might be 60-ish, 60 to 70. And then do we want it to move forward, or do we want every note to kind of have its own weight? That's kind of the question. I discussed in one of my earlier videos. I think that was the last video actually with Tchaikovsky, accents versus marcatos. And we see a lot of marcatos here, so I would interpret that as actually having every note be its own weight. So you kind of want it to feel like it's moving vertically, more than it's moving horizontally per se. And it kind of has that feeling. It's got a whole lot of chords thing going on with it. It feels like it wants to be vertical more than it wants to be horizontal. There's also the horizontal way of playing it. You can play more like accents, but like heavier accents to make sure everything's moving forward. So I don't want to sing it, but we get the idea. And it comes down, and then when we're talking about dynamics as well. So it'll come down to how big do we want to be? Do we want to play in the section a bit more, or do we want to kind of carry the section? We don't want to stick out, as I said before, but we may be okay with carrying the section a bit more. That wouldn't be necessarily a bad thing. So I think okay. So now that we've gotten kind of like general interpretation of the way, my 3 performances of this are going to be a vertical performance of it. So everything's a marcato. That's an articulation. And I'm going to play in the section. We're going to have a really nice forte, but it's not fortissimo, but it's not going to be edgy. It's not going to be super loud. It's going to be nice and pretty, as pretty as like a loud bass trombone can be. Second performance is going to be more horizontally played, so just heavier accents. And it's going to still be with the section, or it's going to be outside of the section, I'm going to say. Obviously, you can generally play around with all these as you want. It's going to be, but I'm going to play a little bit more outside of the section. And then I'm going to keep it the outside section, but play everything back again more vertically as well. I think that's generally about it. Thank you for watching. I will see you in the next video.